Yeah, and credit to the Morning News, I believe, for getting the Cole Beasley info there. It's not alarming because every coach that is no longer here sucks, and every new coach is the greatest coach who ever lived. The problem with this theory, and this isn't specific to Cole Beasley, this is certainly his truth, is that right now in Indianapolis, they've hired a new wide receiver coach to replace Sanjay Lal, and you know what they're saying about him?
Wasn't good enough?
The new guy, and I'll tell you what, we got some new techniques in here.
Right.
We're using a helmet on a stick, and we're pouring buckets of water on guys without shirts and throwing tennis balls at their testicles. Oh, I'll tell you, we got this new technique. Every single new coach is better than the old coach all the time. It's one team's treasure is another team's trash.
Yeah.
And the classic for this, and this will prove that it's nothing personal for Dooley or against Lal or the other way around for me. I think Paul Alexander, the new offensive line coach, is a prince. He's just an incredible guy, and he's a brilliant guy. And I've now had 3 sit-downs with him and gotten to know him, and this just seems great. 24 years in Cincinnati. They fired him in Cincinnati, and you hired him to replace Frank Pollock, who got hired where? Cincinnati. So I guarantee you right now in Cincinnati, they're going, I'll tell you what, that Paul Alexander, he really wore us out thin. His silliness and his, I'm a genius. We got to bring in a tough guy like Frank Pollard. So one team's trash is another team's treasure and vice versa.
Same thing with Chris Richard.
Yeah, right. Well, that may be true, Fish, but the other team's trash usually doesn't come in and have people saying, oh, man, what is this hitch route thing they're teaching us to run here? That's amazing.
But some variety of that.
Yeah.
Even Chris Richard, who obviously that's Legion of Boom. He's a defensive coordinator on Super Bowl programs. I haven't followed this in Seattle, but Chop, you don't think right now they're saying, I'll tell you what, our new defensive coordinator, whoever the hell he is, he's really brought some new. We're going to have some more blitzing, and we're going to move some guys over here into the 3 gap. And sure they do. That's how this works.
Mike Fisher here on 105.3 The Fan. What jumped out from our practice yesterday?
A little bit of the dropsies on offense, and Michael Irvin was there. I was watching practice with him. Also, Nate Newton and Daryl Johnston in the building, so that was kind of fun. And so Irvin was kind of disappointed on the dropsies. And then we talked, he and I, about how maybe a football practice needs somebody to scream and yell and fight and piss and moan. And I don't know that we're both specifically talking about the absence of Des Bryant. For me, it was the absence of Michael Irvin. And we refreshed each other's memories on the stories. Irvin and Jimmy Johnson were so tight and had such an understanding of each other. And, of course, Irvin is a fighter anyway, a natural fighter. So when there was a slow moment in Cowboys training camp, Irvin and Jimmy would almost like wink at each other. And Irvin would go over and start a fight with safety James Washington, who is from Watts, and so doesn't back down from a fight. And the next thing you know, you had a Cowboy brawl. And all of a sudden the tempo was picked up and was all orchestrated by Jimmy and Irvin. I don't know that this team has that guy who can make the tempo just go sky high because he acts the jackass for a moment. But maybe they could use one. I think the guy sitting out is an important story because it's so wise. So Sean Lee didn't do 11 on 11. Tyron Smith coming back very slowly from a dinged up shoulder. Leighton Vander Esch, the first-round rookie, sitting out, and then Tank Lawrence didn't participate in 11 on 11s. And I think some guys not participating is as big a story as anything because I just don't need Sean Lee to practice today. I just don't.
Michael Irvin have anything to say about T.O. and the cocaine suggestions?
Okay, he did, and we started talking about it. And then I pulled out my tape recorder and I said, "Boy, Sean's going to love it." And he said, "No, let's not do that." And I frowned at him, but I understood. His point is, I just don't want to beat up T.O. anymore. He doesn't need to be beat up anymore. I will say this on behalf of Michael Irvin. And I know that T.O. is offended because Irvin, apparently they had a text message exchange and Irvin read it on TV. I think Irvin told T.O. before he read it on TV, "Hey, I'm going to do this." And I also know that over the years that Terrell Owens has not had a better big brother behind the scenes, in his personal life, nobody bigger than Michael Irvin. And so this feels like a weird betrayal, the kind of betrayal that maybe you should work out behind the scenes, or maybe you should keep to yourself. The powdered donuts thing, Irvin kind of laughed about. Listen, guys use cocaine, so if you want to make fun of them for using cocaine, it's true. The Uncle Tom thing is just outrageous, and I hope Irvin doesn't mind if I will quote him on this. He said, I said, what about the Uncle Tom thing? I said, that's the most offensive. He said, Fish, nobody's blacker than me.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, that is as uncalled for as it gets to me. I mean, that comment is so below the belt.
It's the lowest cut that one African-American person can say to another, or that anybody could say to an African-American person. And it's unfortunate and shameful.
How about the return of David Irving and Zach Martin?
Here's a great story on David Irving. So a couple of years ago, Sean, you might have been there with me at Cowboys headquarters, and here comes young Tank Lawrence, and I think he's just coming off the PED suspension. And so I corner him in the hallway, and I get out about half of my question. And then here comes storming into the pile, putting up a human roadblock. Here's Tyrone Crawford, big brother of Tank Lawrence. And he gives me a scowl, even though, listen, I'm just doing my job. And he gives Tank a scowl, a young Tank, and drags him away into the sanctity and safety of the weight room. And so yesterday, here comes David Irving, who is almost always cooperative with the media. He's trying. And this is his first time to talk to the media at large. And so out comes one question. He gives a 10-second answer, and here comes a human roadblock come flying into the pile to save David Irving from himself the way Tank Lawrence had been saved from himself a couple years before. And who was the shield this time?
Tyrone Crawford.
No, the baton had been passed. The shield this time was Tank Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the great traditions in football. I think it's the best. It's the best thing about football. That big brother begots little brother begots little brother begots little brother. And we know that this happens in Cowboy lore. Look at number 88. Drew Pearson thinks that, he acts like Michael Irvin's his son, and Irvin acts like Dez is his son, because they're all number 88. Roger Staubach does this at quarterback. For 30 years, Roger's been saying, Troy's better than I ever was. Romo's better than I ever was. Dak's going to be better than I ever. For 30 years, they've created this king and prince and prince and prince. And I just think it's really awesome. I don't know if this wins you 11 games or not. I think it's awesome in this locker room that Tyrone Crawford was the king of the leaders in the defensive line room to help Tank, and now Tank is helping David Irving. And wouldn't it be great someday if David Irving is there to help Taco or the next guy? That'd be a great next chapter in that story.
Mike Fisher, our Cowboys insider, also our Mavericks insider, join us here at 105 through the Fan. Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer with